welcome back to another episode of The Curious Consumer. I'm Nate.
I'm Jenna.
And today with us, we have a very special guest. My twin, if you are watching this video, you can see that we look very much alike. Daniel Solomons, the CEO and co-founder of Update. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. It's really good to see you. It's cool to see this brand. From when we first met, we were at a friend's office. I was trying the samples you brought in a indescript bottle with just like a piece of tape on it. It's so cool to see you go from that to Kim Kardashian and 4,000 plus Walmart doors.
You've been around from day one, from bad tasting product, exploding cans. I don't know what else.
Oh my God! But now to some new branding, some new distribution, new formulation a little bit.
All of the above.
Well, let's back up a little bit. What are we talking about here? Daniel, can you give us a quick intro? Who are you? What is Update? And why are we talking about Kim Kardashian right now?
I'm Daniel Solomons. I moved to New York 7 years ago from Australia and had a crazy idea that an energy drink should be an easy-ish thing to do. And a few years later, I guess I'm sitting here thankful for being naive, because here we are having just relaunched Update with Kim. I thought energy drinks were a really interesting thing to get into. You basically have this space where everyone needs energy, but all the energy drink offerings to me felt out of reach. They were either branded really hyper masculine or hyper feminine. Often people gave them a bit of a stigma that I would feel a little bit embarrassed kind of holding, walking around with, drinking. They were just packed with so much caffeine as well that a lot of the formulas are basically caffeine plus more caffeine. And none of this really gelled with me. I never actually have drunk an entire energy drink before, except for an Update. I have sipped others for flavor comparison, but that's about it. And so I thought, imagine if you can have an energy drink, but you correct the stigma to it. And then on the science side of things, what was kind of interesting is roughly 1 in 2 people, albeit they consume caffeine, they process it a lot more slowly than others. So that's, the people who are looking at their watch, it's like 2 p.m. If I have a coffee now, I'm going to be up all night. Or it's the person who's going to the gym in the afternoon, needs a pick-me-up, but if they have an energy drink, they're going to get antsy or anxious or jittery. So if we could correct the stigma and come up with a way to give you the energy you want without those side effects, we thought we would have some kind of a winner. Fast forward several years, a lot of trial and error, 6 different formulas along the way, every single ingredient test under the sun, and we ended up with Update as it is today. What's really cool is we don't use caffeine. So we basically partner up with this ingredient scientist who figured out how to extract the best part of caffeine, which happens to be this molecule called paraxanthine. And it gives you the effect that you want from caffeine, so it makes you feel like focused, motivated, it improves your mood, but it doesn't have those side effects. And so we were basically the first brand in the world to use this, and that's what Update's really based around. It's this caffeine-free energy, but it doesn't compromise on the energy aspect.
How did you even come across it in the first place?
So it's a really fun story. Basically, when we first came up with the idea of Update, the whole nootropics craze was going on. You had your Joe Rogans, your Andrew Hubermans, your Dave Asprey's. All these guys were coming out with these nootropic supplements or promoting them, almost talking about it akin to the limitless pill. We basically create this matrix of all these products on the market, all the ingredients that are used, look at the most common ingredients in these products and figure, okay, well, these guys seem to know what they're talking about. Why don't we see if we can do this ourselves? So I ordered dozens of ingredients off Amazon, bought all this fun science gear, thinking you need science gear to try and make this. So these beakers and these little electric spinners and all of this fun stuff. And for weeks I'm trying to measure certain ingredients and mix in water, and basically it just continued to taste terrible and didn't work and kept falling flat. And so then I started going down Reddit rabbit holes. There's a whole nootropics forum on Reddit, and there was someone who several people just kept tying their ingredient comments or questions back to this one individual and basically calling him the top ingredient formulator. So I was all right, there's clearly enough sentiment there. So I basically DM'd the guy on Instagram and said like, hey, wanting to create this energy drink, we don't want to use caffeine, we want to use different ingredients. And he reached back out, he thought it was exciting, so he said yes. After 3 months of building up a relationship with him and still working on the product but with these other nootropic ingredients, he turned around to me and he said, look, a lot of these ingredients that we're working with are bio-individual. So what works for you might not work for me, and this is an energy drink, like everyone has to feel it. I've been working on commercializing a new ingredient for the past 5 years. It won't be ready for another 12 months, but I'm going to send it to you to try. And if you like it, then we should talk about it. And he sends me a bag of white capsules, like completely unmarked, just like a clear plastic bag with like 24 little white capsules. I have no idea what this is. And he says, trust me, just try it. So I basically at home, at the time, my one vice for the day was like a chocolate chip cookie every afternoon. So I'd have like, I'd go downstairs after lunch, I'd buy a coffee, I'd get a chocolate chip cookie, I'd put it on my desk, and I'd like work for the next few hours and eat the cookie. And one day I have the capsule, 4 hours later I look up and the cookie is just sitting there and I've just been working for 4 hours. And I've never had that experience before. I've never taken like Adderall or Vyvanse or Ritalin. I've never had anything like that, but I imagine it's probably not far from that kind of experience. So I was like, you know what? It could be placebo. So I try this for like the rest of the week. Then I go and give these unmarked pills to my friends. I'm like, no, just trust me. And everyone reports back having this really similar experience. So I reached out to him and I'm like, hey, I got to know what this is. And that's when he told me it's paraxanthine. They were gatekeeping this because they were still a year away from commercialization. They were still going through all the IP and the regulatory process. And then we decided it would be great to partner up and be the first brand to work with them to commercialize this.
That is the wildest story. So, okay, first of all, I love that it all came from a Reddit rabbit hole, because what hasn't come?
Yeah,
the
that feels
best
accurate.
ideas in this life have come from a Reddit rabbit hole. So it wasn't patented. You were still like he was still in the patent process. Is it patented now, and can other people use it, or are you like the sole ready to drink that's able to use it?
No, so it is all trademarked now. There are other brands that can use it now as well.
Okay.
So you find it in different product formats, most notably pouches or supplement capsules. I think when you're introducing new ingredients to people, you want a product format that requires no explanation. So it wasn't a tincture or a capsule or a powder that you have to get finicky with and be like, how many drops, how much am I scooping? It's like everyone knows one can, one dose. It's really simple, it requires no explanation. And in terms of building a brand and having presence on a shelf at retail, I think having a can or a block thereof establishes more of that brand block than if it was, small powders or capsules or tinctures.
Can we get into the Kim of it all then? So you have this product, you semi-launch it into the world, and then what's the trajectory from this product existing to the relaunch, which just happened with Kim?
So we semi-launched this into the world. We basically sent the product to several people, and Kim happened to be one of the people that we got product to. Fast forward several months, I was still getting notifications on Shopify on my phone. It was like a novelty when someone bought a product on the website. And whenever someone, most people buy 1 case, 2 cases. And whenever someone's buying like 5 or 6 items, I'm like, who's the schmuck buying 5 or 6 energy drink boxes? Like who needs so much at once? So I would always go and look, and it was Saturday night one night. It was like 10:30 at night. I see 7 items are ordered, and I look and I'm like, oh wow. And it was someone on Kim's team basically buying the product for Kim. And I thought that was cool. Fast forward again, and Kim just on her social media or on the TV show that the family have, we would see update pop up every now and then. Completely unsolicited, had no idea it was happening. But we found out through the grapevine that she really is obsessed with the product. And she had basically incorporated it as part of her daily routine. Fast forward again, and she's seen at the Bezos wedding, and there was a picture that she posted where she's like carrying update in Venice. And I was like, wow, like she really, like not only is she obsessed with it in America, she's traveling with this thing. And then you fast forward again, and she basically reached out to us and, suggested she would love to kind of partner up here. We have a great product, but we haven't quite cracked the nail on how to make it really relevant yet. And so she wanted to come in and basically impart her creative genius onto the brand. We would then decide, let's kind of like pause operations for now. Let's do that. Let's really do a rebrand, refresh the formula. And then along with Kim, we would go and approach the different retailers and see which would make the most sense to relaunch the brand. And that's how it all came about.
That is like the most natural celebrity partnership I have ever heard, actually. It's so funny because I feel like any other founder would be like, oh my God, this person has it. How can I like squeeze everything out of this? And it sounds like you kind of played it cool and then she came to you.
We did do a few things along the way. So once I knew she really liked the product, for those who are familiar with the brand from inception, every 6 months or so we would constantly update the formula. When you update the formula, you work with a flavor house, you get these little glass bottle samples in our case. And so once I knew she really enjoyed the product, when we were updating the formula, I would send her the little glass bottle samples. She'd call up, giving basically her feedback. So there was little bits and pieces along the way to try and warm this up. But yeah, I think it's rare that something like this would come about unless it was really so organic. I think that's what made us really excited about the partnership, is because she was genuinely like number one customer.
That's rare, I think, especially with a celebrity of her size. I mean, her Instagram following's the same number of people who live in the United States. Did you find with this relaunch and also launching into over 4,000 Walmarts that Kim's national reach helped with that launch? And how has the Walmart launch been? We're about 5 weeks out from that launch.
One of the biggest challenges you have as a brand, let alone a beverage brand, let alone in one of the most competitive categories, be it energy, is, it's one thing to maybe get in the door with a buyer, get into a store, but it's another thing to actually then have confidence that people are going to go in and pull the product off the shelf or go in looking for it. And so you really need both in order for this to work. And so definitely having Kim on board, having her organically promote this to her audience, certainly gave the brand and the retailers a lot of confidence that we can go into 4,000 Walmart stores and we can be basically one of, if not the largest beverage launch they've ever done. So that was great. And the launch has been awesome to the extent that we're seeing a lot of posts where it's like people are going to find the product and certain flavors aren't on the shelf because they're out of stock.
How are you thinking about the types of consumers that you want drinking this? Obviously, 4,000 plus Walmarts, and it's everyone. But as you build out your core customer base over the next few months, the next year, is it somebody who's doing esports? Is it someone who's just going to Aloe? Who are you sort of thinking about as your core consumer to get it into more fridges?
Yeah, I think part of the reason that we chose launching with Walmart was we wanted this to be accessible to everyone. In terms of our consumer, I think a lot of the brands that exist today focus on a very hyper focus on a specific niche, right? But today our lives have really changed where we're far more multidimensional, and you need a product that can work with you for those different moments in the day that aren't just in your system for 5 hours and then you can crash. So what Update does is really gives you the energy for 4 hours. It helps you really lock in your focus for 4 hours roughly. Then it slowly gets out of your system. So it really serves those different moments in life versus just being so hyper-focused. And we're seeing that, in terms of the customer base already. It's not your wellness girly. It's not your gym bro. It's not your tech bro. It's not your finance guy. It's like all these different people are consuming it for these specific occasions. And we're seeing that right now. So it's a far more multidimensional customer than just your very specific target.
I was curious about the target consumer question too, partly because actually one of the very first episodes of this podcast we put out was called Energy Drinks Are For the Girls, talking about this just new boom of female targeting energy drinks. And I would argue that this falls somewhere within that, at least with Kim now. So I was kind of curious if you like how you're seeing that category expansion and what that means for like increasing your addressable market now that it seems like more women are partaking in energy drinks in a way that they didn't before, like the Celsiuses and the Alani News of the world.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think we definitely skew more female than masculine. That being said, we wanted to be really intentional with the branding that it wouldn't feel alienating to guys. And I think we've managed to thread that needle. So what's really interesting actually about Update for Retail is we are finding that we're accretive to retail, because we're not just stealing your Celsius customer, we're not just stealing your Monster customer or Red Bull customer, but we're able to introduce new people into the category primarily through two things. One, through the branding, because it is a brand that doesn't have a stigma to it. It looks far more aspirational as a product, and it is bringing that new audience, be it more of a female audience, but also just on the functional side of things, all of a sudden everyone who needs energy can now get it without the cost that caffeine would come with. And so we are definitely seeing more customers join the category because of that. And yes, it definitely does skew more towards the female market, and I think we are seeing that. I think Kim certainly accelerates that, and her audience, this speaks directly to her audience. But I think, we've tried to really thread the needle so it doesn't alienate the others, and we are seeing retailers, this audience, really come and adopt the product.
I feel like we always see this like stratification of gendered products where it's like everything's been for men always, and then we come out with products that are starting to be more geared towards women, and now kind of we're leveling the playing field and seeing a lot more like unisex branded products come out that are just like not gendered, a concept. Crazy that you can do that. But yeah, super exciting to see that in the energy space, and really cool just to hear how much momentum you've had since the relaunch. I imagine it's been pretty life-changing and nothing like what you expected when you first launched the brand.
It's certainly been life-changing. It's become a lot more busy. Like, we never stop. The moment this design was done, like, we're already in the lab, like seeing, are there ways to improve it? Are there certain flavors that will taste, really good with the ingredients for the next LTO or the next flavor? We would not compromise on that. I don't think you can ever have a perfect product, but I think you can't stop trying to continuously improve it to reach perfection, knowing you can't get there, so you have to keep constantly trying to improve it. We're not going to stop.
So we can find you in 4,000 Walmarts. Where else can people find Update, or where can they find Update soon or in the future?
So we're currently in basically nationwide at Walmart. We should be at the Vitamin Shop again. We should be at Wegmans shortly thereafter. Amazon as well, and a handful of other retailers that we're basically just setting up with.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
That's so exciting. Very cool.
Thanks, Daniel. Sorry, everyone, that we are posting this a day late. I have been under bombardment of construction noises beneath my apartment.
New York City
outside,
life, baby.
Not above, not next to, beneath. I live on the first floor, and there's a garage right below me, and they're doing construction underneath, and we very much could not record.
Well, we got on to record. It's so funny because I'm like, no one's gonna notice we put this out a day late, other than like our real OGs.
Yeah.
But we got on to record this morning, and we were like, oh, actually, it sounds like there's like.
It sounds like somebody's jackhammering up
your
into
wall.
my apartment, my wall.
Yes. It was so like Nate was like, oh, there's some construction. I was like, oh, it'll be fine. No, not fine. So here we are, but it's fine because we are fueled by energy drinks right now.
I am drinking a Bloom energy drink, the Crisp Apple.
Disloyal to our guests of the week.
Well, I had an update while we were recording.
Yes, which was a different time. I had an update this morning, which is the day after we recorded, and that is what is still fueling me, despite it being kind of later in the day than we usually record. So shout out to Paraxanthine. And What's really funny about this week is we interviewed Daniel just because we've been wanting to interview Daniel. We're fans of Update. We've been tracking on the brand's relaunch since, I guess it's been a month now. It wasn't like a timely interview in that respect, but it happened to be really timely because this week, randomly, every single Kardashian Jenner sister has made it into our newsletter. So we're going to get into it, and we're going to start with a Kardashian Jenner roundup, and it all begins with Kylie. Kylie this week launched K2O, which is a new advanced beauty electrolyte or hydration powder. Nate is holding it up and showing us. And the reason that this involves all of the Kardashian sisters is because she will be launching it actually at Coachella next weekend at Kendall's 818 Tequila Outpost at Coachella. She will have these hydration stick packets at the ready. And K2O is interesting because it is launching as a line extension of a brand that Kylie already had, which was a vodka soda brand called Sprinter. And I have to be so honest with you, I did not know that existed.
I did know it existed. I never got to try it. It was just a vodka spritzer, fruity flavors, like nothing too out there. But yeah, I don't think you were alone in either not knowing it existed or not knowing if it was still around. Because a lot of the discourse I saw online around this was like, wait, wasn't she doing like a vodka thing? I think this pivot makes a lot of sense for Kylie. She's not really seen as like a big drinker or partier. I think it just didn't really align with her personal brand. And I think a skincare hydration packet aligns a lot more with Kylie and even just the broader Kardashian Jenner's brands in general. It fits within the Lemmy of it all. It fits within Cloud even. It's much more health and wellness focused. The other side of it, it is theoretically a once or twice a day type product. So it fits into somebody's routine. It's easier to show off. It's easier for Kylie to show it off. And there's also a lot of other issues with BevAlc. With alcohol, you're dealing with the 3-tier system. You're dealing with unique distribution. You're dealing with a lot. It's the reason why Spindrift dropped their RTD sparkling beverage as well, because it's just hard. But a lot of people were very confused about this pivot, and I actually think this could be a pretty good brand for her. I'm curious to see how much she'll share it. That's where this brand will win, is if she integrates this into her daily life. But it's very clear that like they're betting on wellness, they're betting on skincare, they're betting on supplements. Because the CEO that was announced today, Jay Hunter, he's coming in from Mary Ruth's, a very, very popular supplement company. And it's very clear that they're leaning really hard into the health and wellness of it all in the supplement category.
Yeah, actually, TMZ, not that this is the most reputable source in the world, but TMZ reported last month that Sprinter appeared to be pivoting away from vodka soda. So they figured it out because they saw that they were filing trademarks, not just for hydration stick powder, but for supplement shakes and bars and vitamins. I'm like, at what point is this competing with Courtney, actually? But it definitely makes a lot of sense. Ingestible beauty is all the rage right now. Look at brands like Armra and Ritual and Vital Proteins. And we've always kind of been told that like if you're hydrated, your skin will look better. If you drink more water, your skin will look better. And now we associate I am only hydrated if I have my electrolytes or my liquid IV or whatever, which that is actually incorrect. But because consumers make that association naturally, it only makes sense to have this ingestible beauty that pairs electrolytes with beauty ingredients like hyaluronic acid. And this also contains a clinically studied collagen peptide called Verisol. Mm-hmm. And so hyaluronic acid and collagen and electrolytes, all of those ingredients are primed to be in consumers' brains to be the building blocks of good skincare, and they'll take it in whatever format. I think it makes a lot of sense to be moving into ingestible beauty right now. Also, retailers are enabling this space to even exist in the first place. When I think about beauty and beauty supplements, I used to think about biotin, like a hair,
Right.
skin, and nails gummy from Nature's Bounty or something. And that was not sold at Sephora or Ulta.
No.
But some of these brands that I just mentioned, like Armra, like Vital Proteins, like Moon Juice, they all set the stage for retailers like Ulta and Sephora to start including ingestible beauty in their sets and putting something like, Armra, which is colostrum powder, next to body wash or mascara or whatever. So like the blurring of the lines is already there. And we kind of talk about this all the time actually, but it's really interesting to us that like, I just don't think beauty is even a category anymore in some ways, because any category can also latch on to having like a beauty SKU. Like there are so many food categories that have a beauty SKU with some of these ingredients in it. Beauty is more seen as a function than a category now, I almost think.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I was in Ulta Beauty today and walking around the wellness section, seeing people pick up things and look at it and add it to their cart was fascinating to see. I was also in Target earlier today as well. And it was, you also see it in there. And it's these retailers, they're giving space and validation to these brands to fit in the beauty and skincare world, where before they were relegated to maybe a vitamin shop, maybe just D2C, their own website. Like there were fewer spaces and also just fewer consumer education around it. And with Vital Proteins and Moon Juice and all these other brands that like most consumers know, it's given so much validation to this new lines of product alongside new retail and new points of distribution for these things to actually exist and thrive and be validated even more. I expect to see more brands coming out with beauty and skincare SKUs that are not necessarily in a beauty and skincare format, like what we talked about last week with Freaks of Nature coming out with also a hydration packet with internal UV protection function to it. You can read more in our newsletter from the other week, but there's going to be a lot more of this out there. Let's move on to our next Kardashian Jenner brand.
Unreal.
This is we're like a pop culture channel now. Khloe Kardashian, she has Cloud, which is now not Cloud popcorn, it's also Cloud chips. So they introduced a line of protein tortilla chips after the Cloud popcorn brand has really taken off. I've heard from some private sources that we have that they're doing very well. Tens of millions in annual sales right now, and they basically just launched. The interesting thing about this, and Jenna, I'm going to let you
go on my rant.
Go on your rant, because I think you put it very well. The first ingredient is avocado oil.
So, okay. She launched her protein tortilla chips. Great. That's what they're called. The marketing of it is like, it says good stuff, zero fluff, lots of copy around no seed oils. Fine. And yes, you turn it over, there are no seed oils. It's a pretty short ingredient list. On that ingredient list, though, the first ingredient, as in the ingredient that there is the most of in the product, is avocado oil. So while there is no seed oil, and if you want to use the zero fluff, zero fluff is so ChatGPT to me, I can't even hear it. But the first ingredient of tortilla chips isn't even corn. That's wild to me. So yeah, there's no seed oil. I will say, caveat to that is that there's been a lot of independent testing that's shown that a significant portion of commercial avocado oil does have cheaper seed oils in it. So you still might be getting seed oil, but we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. This is the purest of pure avocado oil. Even still, the first ingredient is oil and not corn. If you are a consumer who's trying to get closer to quote unquote real food, then you should be prioritizing the whole food, which in this case is corn, not avocado oil. That just bothers me so much. But sure, if you want to get your protein, it's also not even that high protein, actually.
No, it's not. I tried them. I was not a fan of these. I thought the texture was pretty good. I found that there was a pretty significant aftertaste with these.
Of whey protein or
I couldn't even tell. It just
there's a funk.
There's a little bit of a funk aftertaste. I talked to some people who liked it. But so far, my favorite protein chips were the Hippies ones that we tried at Expo West.
So good.
Those
and
were
you know
really
why?
good.
Because the first ingredient is probably chickpeas. Anyway, that's on Cloud Chips. I mean, I think this is an exciting launch because it does indicate that the Cloud brand will be a lot more than just protein popcorn.
Yeah.
But I feel like we kind of excluded Cloud popcorn from all of the rhetoric about how protein products are actually junk because it is zero fluff, or at least it says it is. And I just would say approach all high protein products with equal skepticism.
I agree. That's not our last.
No, we have another.
We have another. This one's another Kardashian brand, Kourtney, our beloved Kourtney. We'll be short with this one, but Lemmy, her gummy supplement brand, surprisingly, after launching 17 different gummies and chews, they had
Which
no
also, pause, 17?
17. This is just their gummies and chews, not even their pills. I know. I think they have over
They're
20 SKUs.
pumping them out.
Pumping them out and crushing it. But they just launched their first multivitamin. They didn't have one until today, and it's a daily women's multivitamin.
Yeah, it is so funny to me because multivitamins are like the OG gummy supplement, right?
Yeah.
Like when I think of gummy supplements, I think of like Flintstones gummies, which were multivitamins, or the like one-a-days. And only now, after they launched a belly fat burning gummy, which is different than their de-bloat gummies, which is different than their body toning gummies. Like they have so many of these hyper specific SKUs for different things that you're trying to target. And only now are they like multivitamin time. So it's come full circle, I guess. And honestly, I think it's actually smart because people really trust Lemmy now as a brand. So I think if they had come out with a multivitamin out the gates, they'd be competing with like a Grüns, and they'd be competing with a lot of brands that already have household name. So I think it was really smart to earn consumer trust via these other like hyper specific vehicles and then come back to multivitamin once they've gained that trust.
I agree. I think it's very smart. But that is our Kardashian Jenner segment.
Isn't that crazy?
Podcasts.
This is a CPG podcast. This isn't a celebrity podcast.
They all have CPG brands. All
They're
of them.
everywhere.
Chris has one. She has them Safely.
Yes, the cleaning product.
Which is still around. I didn't know it was still around, but I made a video saying it was not still around, and I got a lot of comments saying, nope, still around.
You're spreading misinformation.
I'm sorry, Chris. I'm sorry. I'm scared of her. I feel like she knows.
You should be scared of her. She could take you down in 2 seconds.
Chris, who's definitely listening, I apologize. I apologize.
Her people might be listening.
Her people are
listening.
listening.
She has people to listen to her
Sure.
haters.
Let's completely pivot. Hard pivot. Still in CPG. Do not worry, people.
Don't fear.
We need to talk about Hershey's.
Yes, we do. Also, I was writing Hershey's, and then I realized Hershey's is the bar, but Hershey is the company. No apostrophe S. So we're actually talking about Hershey, the company. And we've got a lot to say about Hershey. It's been a tough week to be Hershey. Actually, it's been a tough few months because on Valentine's Day, which also so sad that it was on Valentine's Day.
But also very deliberate. That was
very deliberate.
Good.
On Valentine's Day, a man by the name of Brad Reese, who happens to be the grandson of H.B. Reese, who happened to invent the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup in 1928, posted a letter on LinkedIn, great medium, calling out Hershey for swapping real chocolate for compound coatings, quote unquote, and peanut butter for peanut butter creams across parts of the Reese's line. Also, I have to preface this story saying that I am from the suburbs of Philadelphia where we say Reese's, and it's taking everything out of me to say Reese's. But I know that's actually technically correct. So I'm just going to keep saying it. Anyway.
Which is so funny because you're near Hershey, Pennsylvania.
I know. So maybe we are right. We say Reese's. And then when people call me out for it, I'm like, what do you mean? It's Reese's Pieces.
No, it's
Reese's
not. Oh my
Pieces.
God. The Philly accent and pronunciation of things is wild.
All right.
I will leave it at that.
We'll fight that out later. Anyway, so Brad posts this.
Brad
Brad, apparently, he tried a bag of Reese's mini hearts and he couldn't even finish them. He spit them out. That's never something I've experienced in my life. And when he shared his concerns, his letter that he posted on LinkedIn went totally viral. He was like on every major news station. He collabed with Mr. Beast on a video that got wild. 14 million views, which also, this is like a 70-year-old man. This whole, like, his life just changed drastically. But anyway, during Hershey Investor Day last week, they announced that they were reverting the recipe back. They say this, and then things kind of blow up again because people are like, oh, you're only doing this like because he said something. It's like too little too late. Also, they said they couldn't do it until 2027. And they're like, what? Why are we waiting so long? Like, just got so much hate. I want to add some context back in, which is that less than 3% of the Reese's products were actually affected by these changes. So we're not talking about like the OG Reese's cup. It was just these like seasonal Reese's mini hearts and a few other
random like LTOs.
Random products. 3%. And the reason that Hershey said that they had changed them in the first place was because of rising cocoa prices, which is something that we've talked about a few times actually in the newsletter, so I won't go into that now. But these seasonal formats in particular were changed because they're higher margin pressure items, meaning they're often at a lower price point. They have to be sold really quickly, like within the seasonal time frame, so they often go on discount. So there's all of these reasons why they need to be formulated at a lower price. And cocoa's expensive, so Hershey was like, we're going to reformulate just to protect margins where we have the least pricing power. And they did have to change the labels because it's not FDA compliant to say that it's milk chocolate if it's a mix of cocoa and some palm oil instead of like the full cocoa butter. They do have to say that. So it says on it chocolatey candy or chocolate candy or chocolate coating, which none of those terms meet the legal standard for milk chocolate. So they didn't like do anything illegal. So that's all the context that I feel like needs to be said. But this to us just told a much larger story. It's not really about those 3% of random seasonal items.
This is a lot more about the broader conversation that's happening across health, wellness, food, beverage, and even part of the broader MAHA movement that's happening. A lot of the outrage is really more virtue signaling that people fit within this health and wellness. They want better food. They want transparency. And this is true. This is very true. Like, we're seeing data that consumers want more transparency, that they desire better for you, cleaner ingredients. The thing is, like, a lot of people just don't know what that actually means. People don't even know that, like, certain products that, they think are healthy are ultra processed, and they associate ultra processed with unhealthy. And the outrage really stems from like a lack of consumer understanding and education around what our food system is, what labeling means, what a health food really is. It's almost like a big misunderstanding, but I think it does come from a good place. I think a lot of consumers demanding better ingredients and demanding transparency from these brands is good and is clearly working. I mean, look at all these emerging brands that are in aggregate outpacing a lot of strategic brands. A lot of them are a lot more open about what's in their products, are changing up the formulas. But as we were saying earlier, like, once you get to a big size too, the margins matter, the getting these products out the door matter. There's a lot of other things that happen behind the scenes that a lot of consumers just don't fully grasp because they shouldn't, and they can't. It's very complicated.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think what's tough about this specific story is it was like blowing up about the wrong thing. So I think people were getting like really upset of like, oh my God, you're telling me that the chocolate that I've been eating is all these fake chemical or whatever. Or that they're upset about this like very American picturesque ideal vision of this company that started in 1928 and is still here today. And like, how are we not protecting the family legacy by using the same ingredients? And like, we have to be so honest right now. This is not a farm. Like, this is like,
there's
anyone who came out like so angrily upset about this reformulation taking place, I guarantee you either they don't buy Reese's, or if they do, they weren't buying Reese's because they were like, I love this family-owned company and how clean they are. They didn't even know. I would guarantee that they didn't even know that Brad Reese existed or any descendants of Reese were alive.
No.
Like, they were buying it because it's very available. It's at anywhere, any gas station, any supermarket, anywhere. You can find it anywhere. Very available, very well priced, and very well known and liked. That's it. It's not, people are not buying this product for health reasons or for this legacy American dream vision. Like those products, if you want those products, they exist. Go support them. Go support brands at your farmer's market if that's what you are looking for, or I mean, even broader than that. It doesn't have to just be your farmer's market.
Justin's, you go get a Justin's peanut butter cup. Like, that's been around forever. There's issues with that, but still.
I was gonna say that's actually a really interesting example that you just gave, but we can get into that.
But still.
Wow, so many controversial peanut butter cups. Who would have thought? A lot of this is in the newsletter, but someone commented, who I had quoted actually. Jessie is the co-founder of Whim's Delights, which is also a better for you peanut butter cup company. They're like low sugar peanut butter cups. They're delicious. Mm-hmm. But Jessie wrote this really insightful comment that it's too long for me to read, and I'm going to try to quickly summarize it. But the point being, like, you can't have everything. Like, you can't be $1.50 and be in every gas station and also not have certain stabilizers and not have to respond when certain ingredients get too expensive and you have to lower your margins. Like, retailers have an expectation for brands that are at this scale, and the only way that they can be at this scale is if they can be shipped at a really long shelf life, which means stabilizers, and if their margins are low enough that they can be sold at this price point because they aren't using super expensive cocoa all the time. They have to respond to these things because they're huge companies. And once you hit this scale, that's kind of what the American food system has forced brands to do.
Right.
That doesn't make it okay. And that doesn't mean that these huge corporations shouldn't try to do better. We absolutely expect that. But the system's pretty broken. That's what you should be mad at, I would say.
Yeah.
Be mad at the companies. Sure. Be mad at the companies. But understand that the way that they have to operate is unfortunately like within capitalism in the same way that we all have to operate. And so if you really want that really healthy family owned product, whatever, support emerging brands.
Yeah. I think Jessie said something really smart. The system's the villain here. Like, consumers are not the villain, honestly, for demanding things are better, or even just consuming a Reese's. Retailers aren't wrong for demanding low prices. The brand isn't wrong for trying to find margin somewhere. It's very complicated. I mean, this is the whole premise of the show, The Good Place. It's that, like, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. It's really, really hard. And at the end of the day, it's a Reese's peanut butter cup. It's a Hershey's chocolate. It's not a high-end thing that is lying to you to charge you more. And it's not a high-quality product. I enjoy Reese's. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's not the same as buying Whims. It's not the same as buying something from your local chocolatier, or something homemade, or something from a farmer's market, or a higher end brand using higher end ingredients. This is a mass market product. The feeling of being duped is valid, but it also feels a little bit silly that is the outrage, and not a dwindling chocolate supply and global climate change and all this other. There's so many other things that, like, if you want to be mad at Hershey for anything, there's other things you can be mad at them for. But for selling cheap chocolate,
it's kind of the point.
It's very interesting. Yeah. I think it's really interesting. It's really interesting to see the outrage, which, like I said, I think a lot of it is virtue signaling, but I think it also deep down comes from a good place and from a discussion that's happening more broadly that I hope will change brands, and I hope it will change the system as well. I don't have faith in this current administration to actually do that, despite what they're saying. But it is planting a seed in people's minds that we deserve better, we can have better, and hopefully things will get better.
Yeah. Yeah. Like anything, we don't think that people are necessarily wrong in fighting this. It's more that it's a distraction from the actual problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here we are distracting you even more. But in the world of big food, there was another really big deal that took place last
week. A lot of
week.
money. So McCormick is buying Unilever's food business. The combined value of this deal is what, like $45 billion?
Yup.
It's
silly.
It's silly. It feels fake. So the combined entity will now combine McCormick and Unilever's iconic brands. So Hellmann's, Knorr, Frank's Red Hot, Cholula, French's, all of McCormick's spices or Kensington's. It's a lot of iconic brands.
So this is a $45 billion deal, but it's not like an exit. So Unilever will apparently like stay in the deal. They're just not really running as a food company like in the day-to-day.
Yeah.
And instead, they're going to be focusing almost exclusively on like beauty personal care. Their current portfolio includes like Dove, Vaseline, Dermalogica, Nutrafol. So it makes sense that they would want to hone in on their personal care set, but it's still a really big deal. We saw signs of this happening when they sold off their ice cream business, but now they've sold off the rest of it. And it's just clean cut. But yeah, this isn't really happening in isolation.
No, it's happening pretty broadly across the spectrum. There was going to be a Kraft Heinz breakup that ended up not happening, but a lot of these strategics are really narrowing their focus on figuring out what their core competencies are to actually continue to grow and scale really their stock. All of these are public companies that need to maintain their value. Even Hershey's talked about this. They're like reorganizing their internal business to this Hershey's One platform to really focus on each of the different segments that they've betted on, and they're doubling down on snacks. So like all of these big food and beverage strategic CPG companies, they're either combining, selling off things, doing literally everything under the sun to be successful and maintain their relevancy and maintain their bottom line. I think for Unilever, which is very interesting because they've had a lot of food brands for a long time, I bet they just love the beauty and skincare margins. Those 80 to 90% margins are probably a lot better than the food ones.
So much better than food. Yeah, and also like, as we said, everything is beauty and wellness now. So it's pretty smart.
Pretty smart.
And I mean, one of the things that we always talk about too is just these big corporations in food are this messy middle where they're not the premium emerging brands and they're also not private label, which is really winning dollar share right now. And we have a good example of that actually, because a very, I think kind of like this unlikely force is killing it secretly in private label and has been, and they just launched a new line of their private label. So we're talking about GoPuff here.
Love GoPuff. I use GoPuff a lot. It's great. It's the quick delivery service that's in mostly major metropolitan areas. So they have 4 distinct private label tiers, basically all everyday essentials, basically premium, just elevated versions, Good Now, which is health and wellness, and now Crave Shop, which is all indulgent treats, which I personally love that they're betting on people wanting these treats. And I think it makes a lot of sense for GoPuff, where you might be in a fun state, you're at home, you really need, you got a craving. And
I love how you framed it like that. I'm like, I was more thinking like your friend just went through a breakup and you immediately have to order them, like
okay, so either you're high or you're sad.
High or sad.
Either way,
GoPuff's got you covered.
You want a sweet treat.
Both.
Or both. Arguably both. So the Crave Shop, they're doing a few things that are cool. One, they're collaborating with a brand it was in the press release, which is very interesting that this is like branded private label. They're partnering with Woe Dough, which is like an edible cookie dough company to have a cookie dough product. They're doing ice cream bubbles, poppable frozen desserts. They're doing fun cotton candy flavors like dill pickle.
Yeah, that's not it for me. That's a hard pass.
If you're under the influence, it might be.
True. These are all very like impulse purchase coded.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they know their audience.
I was really fascinated to see that nearly 20% of GoPuff orders already include one of their private label items. That stat was really surprising to me.
Insane stat.
But definitely a growing segment to watch out for.
Huge.
Speaking of a
Oh God.
Speaking of a growing segment.
Jesus Christ. My mother listens to this.
I'm keeping that in.
Oh, I'm keeping that in too. Let's talk about
Speaking
testosterone.
We're talking about testosterone. We're talking about a testosterone boosting supplement company called Mars Men because men are from Mars. That's literally why it's called that.
I'm an idiot. That makes sense.
Really leaning into the gendered, all of the gendered attributes.
Hell yeah.
Mars Men is only an 18-month-old supplement company, and they just raised $27.5 million Series A from L. Catterton, which if you've heard that name recently, it's because they also were the majority stake investors in Good Culture recently, but they're also just the largest global consumer-focused investment firm. They backed Peloton, Nutrafol, which we've already mentioned, Milk Bar, like they're big. So they just raised a lot of money, and that makes sense because they're doing really well. They have a $100 million run rate. They're already profitable, which is so wild in CPG at this early. And they have 400,000 plus customers. Yeah, it's because of supplements. So tell me about these supplements, Nate, because I don't feel well-versed in testosterone.
I'm barely well-versed in testosterone, if I'm going to be honest. But it's got all these ingredients that I like. Oh my God, it's got horny goat weed because of course it does. It's got boron, it's got zinc, it's got, I can't pronounce some of these other stuff. It's got ancient herbs. Oh, fenugreek, yeah, I know what that is. But it's supposed to support energy, vitality, and recovery. It's got no synthetic compounds, and it's 100% drug-free and natural because what manosphere product wouldn't be 100% drug-free and natural? It's supplements, and it does really fit into... I think it fits into like two different spaces that, you know, might be concentric circles, but it fits really, I think, like the tech bro side of the world, like biohacking, optimization, peak performance, so I can sit at my desk and vibe code for hours. It's great. Still have abs for some reason, even though you're sitting for 18 hours a day. And then the other side is like, again, I think the circles align here, but the manosphere world, the Joe Rogans of it all, the people who want to be peak quote unquote male performance.
Yeah.
Situation.
I mean, the copy on the website is, so their like money back guarantee is reclaim your masculinity or money back guarantee. How do you prove that? I'm sorry. I'm just
do you
gonna
send
be like,
them your sperm counts?
I'm gonna order this.
I'm
gonna order it, and I'm gonna in 90 days say I didn't reclaim my masculinity. I'm so sorry. I need my money back.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know what that means. Apparently, these supplements are studied, but it's very vibes heavy in that they're really relying on this one finding that is pulling so much weight for them, which is from a 2007 study, which says that testosterone levels have dropped 1% per year since 1980. And that is like the narrative of the entire men's wellness category, honestly, is like, we're all losing testosterone.
You too, Jenna.
Me too. And I'm suffering for it.
I can tell.
The gains are abysmal. But they're really relying very heavily on that narrative that men are becoming less manly and we need to do something about it, but we can't go to TRT clinics. We can't rely on pharma. We have to go to natural whatever, this natural pharma thing that is really running like the whole wellness sphere right now.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I think about this story and I think about the Liver King, that schmuck who was like promoting eating liver to boost your testosterone and remove electronics from the bedroom and sleep on wood and do all this stuff. And it turns out he was just roided up beyond compare. And like,
who would have thunk?
I don't know. Clearly people want this and maybe need this. I'm no testosterone expert. But I do think the rhetoric around this brand feels a bit dangerous. Yeah.
It's interesting because there's been a lot of launches recently for women that look like this.
Yes.
A lot of hormone balancing products.
The women's products are much more focused on balance and leveling out. And the men's stuff, it leans more extreme.
Yeah, for sure. But it's an interesting response. I feel like it's like for the first time, women were like, oh, we're finally getting the recognition and understanding that we deserve from some of these companies that women's hormones are objectively more complicated than men's hormones. That is like a scientific fact.
Yes.
So we're getting some products that are specifically designed for female hormones. And then these manly men come out and they're like, well, we want ours. Where like that's what it feels like to me. I mean, do I think that testosterone levels are dropping? That does appear to be true. Like that's not, I think that there are a lot of factors that play into that. And maybe these supplements are really helpful for that. That is entirely possible. What I more have an issue with is the framing of the brand and some of the claims it's making and the way that it's making those claims. It doesn't feel like a health brand or a wellness brand. It feels like a masculinity brand. Those are different things to me.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. Like this might work just as well as another brand, just marketed a little bit differently. And look, I guess a lot of guys might want that or feel like that's what they need and want. But to be honest, I bet a lot of issues with testosterone, microplastics probably are an issue.
Yeah, like environmental.
But also like diet. Like you can't just, this is my issue with a lot of the supplement industry is they either directly or at least indirectly position it as like, this is the fix, when it's like, what the fix really is often lifestyle. It's fitness, it's exercise, it's diet, it's sleeping well. Like there's other aspects to it. And sometimes the supplements, like getting onto these supplements make you want to do all these changes. But I just feel like we're so geared towards convenience and a quick fix, at least here in the States.
The irony of it being called the lifestyle category is not lost on me. This is trying to be a fix for, it's like you can do this instead of fixing your actual lifestyle and habits. Yeah, if you really want to increase your testosterone levels, maybe don't take a supplement, but like get off Claude Code and go outside.
Right, like, maybe you just need some vitamin D. Pun intended.
So much of the supplement space really preys off of our desire for a quick fix. And it's disappointing. But El Catterton believes in them. So they might do really well.
And honestly, like, very impressive growth. That is wild.
Yeah. Crazy. This episode was such a whirlwind. I can't even believe. And we didn't cover, there was so much more news this week. I know we always say that, but there actually was so much more news this week, including a headline that we will end up covering next week, but I'll tease now, which is that a creatine wellness supplements brand just raised $20 million. And that also feels pretty tied to what we were just talking about. So stay tuned for next week to learn more about the creatine space, which is, there's so much to say there as well. Check out the newsletter for all the stories from this week that we didn't mention. Thank you again to Daniel Solomons from Update for being an amazing guest this week.
Follow us on Instagram at Express Checkout and be sure to review this podcast and give us 5 stars. It's really helpful. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.